Welcome everyone to Andres Basketball's World's Podcast. I don't know what episode number this is. I'm supposed to record like once a week, but you know what it is. Here on the podcast, basically we just talk about I do longer videos here for podcasters in general. This is discuss everything going on in the NBA at the moment of time, but something that's on my mind pretty much. And right now, the Mavericks are up 3-1 against the Minnesota Timberwolves because the Timberwolves decided to go ahead and push the game to game 5 after their less than stellar play. Let's quite honestly, less than stellar play. Watching this series, I watched a handful of these games, and I've gone back and watched some of the games I have not watched. And one of the things I've noticed about the matchup between them is one, no one can guard Luka. I think we all know that, though. I think everybody knows that no one can really guard Luka. Even Luke Dort had problem guarding Luka in the second round. So here, no one can still not guard Luka. The only person that's guarding Luka is Luka himself. Quite honestly, if we're being quite honestly, it's only Luka that can stop Luka for being Luka, right? There, I'm not too for sure if he's still injured, if he's playing hurt still, because there's times to where he'll come down the court and he will toss up a three, like shot clock barely even started. Like he just crossed half court and he would just take a three, right? He would just take a three, and then you have other times to where he can do whatever he wants to, get to the basket, draws the fouls or whatever. But there's times throughout the games to where he's tired, and it's very noticeable that he's tired, and maybe because he's still hurt. And he just comes down, toss up a random three, doesn't go in. And he's like, whatever. Luka is still not playing average defense. Something that I was like, he might have trouble with playing with some average defense. He's still not doing that. Watching the last game, when Anthony Edwards started going off a little bit, there was a play to where Anthony Edwards came to the mid-range post around the free throw line area, and he pulls up for a mid-range shot. Luka's right there. He's like right there. He's right there in his face, and Luka does not contest or nothing. He just looks at it, turns around, and waits till the ball goes in. Small effort could have made that shot maybe a little bit more difficult, maybe. But I'm not expecting Luka to play defense now. I mean, if he hasn't played defense so far in his career like that, there's no point in trying to wish for it now. Kyrie Irving, on the other hand, he's been up and down since the second round, quite honestly. He has it to where he doesn't shoot the ball at all, and then he has the times to where he will go off. So it's very interesting. Maybe he's picking and choosing when he's supposed to go off, is what I'm assuming, but I'm not 1,000% sure if that's the case or not, or he's just struggling a little bit just to get what he needs to get. I'm not 100% sure. But that Dallas offense seems like it's just rolling sometimes. You have nights to where PJ Washington is hitting his shots. You have nights to where Darren Gafford is playing untouchable, where he's going crazy. You had nights to where Derek Lively is catching anything and everything. Same thing with Daniel Gafford. Derek Lively did get injured in that game 4. No. Game 3. Game 3, he got injured. Knee to the back of the head from Karl-Anthony Towns. But what they were saying in the last game, they were saying that he had no concussion and that he was doing everything cool, that he should be available. He should be available for game 5 tonight. So we'll definitely see if he's going to be out on the court, because he definitely he definitely brings something different to their lineup. Athletic big man that's blocking shots, grabbing rebounds, catching lobs. Just being a threat as a rookie. Which is good to see. Player that's out there that most likely got to get traded this offseason, no matter how far they go, Tim Hardaway Jr. That man is non-existent. I knew he wasn't. I knew he wasn't gonna be on nothing this year. I ain't gonna lie. I knew he wasn't gonna be on nothing this year. He just non-existent, not playing basketball at all. He's just existing on the team, which is crazy to say, but it happens. So the Mavericks team, offensively and defensively, they're doing pretty good. They're doing good enough that's getting them by. On the Timberwolves side of things, we have Anthony Edwards, who struggled in the very first 3 games, struggled heavily. He was just taking shots. He didn't have the same demeanor that he had in the previous round. And I'm just like, I wonder what happened. Because he's not getting the exact same defensive excitements that I was assumed. I'm trying to think who will be on him. Um, who's guarding him in this series? Who's the starting small forward? Is it Derrick Jones Jr.? I think is starting at the small forward position. I don't know, but there's times where he's getting double, and it can showcase that he's not comfortable with the doubles yet because he's not passed. I mean, he'll pass out to an extent, but he's not. The passes that he throws and stuff sounds cool, and then you realize that some of them are cross court passing. Ooh, sorry, hold on. I've been up for a little bit. I'm tired, dude. I'm still tired. He throws cross court passes that looks good to an extent, but when the defense get there to contest, it's not a good play, quite honestly. The last game he played really well. He played better. He was actually doing really good out there on the court. But we cannot sit here and ignore the fact that he is struggling. He's definitely struggling in this series against the Dallas Mavericks. And that reminds you that he's 22 years old. That right there to showcase you that, yeah, he's been playing well this playoffs, but he's 22. He's 22, quite honestly. Corey to the towels. It's bad shooting. Bad shooting. Bad shots taken. Bad not finishing. He just playing bad. I saw this last game. That's what I'm saying. A lot of these things based off of last game. The last game, he just played bad. I mean, he played good. He didn't rebound. He had 5 rebounds. He had 1 assist. That's it. That was it. Rudy Gobert, defensively, he's doing the best he can defensively, but everybody's cooking him for getting cooked by guards, but we're not gonna pretend like every other guard. I mean, we're not gonna pretend like any center in the league can actually hang with every single guard in the league in a pick and roll situation. All time and even present times. I don't know why people just assuming because it's Rudy Gobert, because he's a 4-time defensive player of the year, that getting cooked by Luka or Kyrie, like that's what happens. This is the era. A lot of people keep telling, if you hear people talk about basketball, especially in this era, they continue to tell you that this era is so much more athletic, so much more skill, all this stuff, and then turn around and cook players. Turn around and say, "Oh, well, Rudy Gobert, 4-time defensive player of the year, he ain't doing nothing." Well, you can't have both. You can't have the both ways. You can't complain about Rudy Gobert getting cooked by these more skilled players compared to the past years, and then expecting a same elite defense to cover an elite guard. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. You can't expect both of that. You can't expect both of them at all. You can't. You gotta pick which one. You gotta pick which one. Oh, I know. I'm looking around because we got spiders coming in the freaking house nowadays. Ugh. Was not okay this morning, but that's what's going on. That's what's going on. So now tonight, the Mavericks. I think the Mavericks can close them out. They should be able to close them out because if they go to Game 6, we got a whole different conversation because now the team is the team is could be expiring. It could be spiraling down if it goes to Game 6 after being up 3-0. Losing one game is fine. Losing one game is fine because just like whatever, we're up 3-1. Losing 2 games in a row, now you start questioning yourself. And you don't want to lose your 3rd game in a row because now you question everything you've done in the playoffs. You question everything. Anthony Edwards is a very interesting character, right? I made a video about him and Pablo Banchero being rising stars here on the channel. You can go check it out. One thing about Anthony Edwards that I've noticed is that he talks a lot. He talks a little too much, especially right now. There's a little clip, I'll be on social media. There's a clip of him trash talking Kyrie to him. Oh, yeah, you thought it was going to be over. Let's go back to Minnesota. It's like, Anthony Edwards, you do realize you guys are down in the series, right? You realize you haven't had a good series, correct? I'm just making sure. making sure that you trying to do the impossible, winning 4 straight in a row, which is impossible. Not a single team in NBA history has won 4 in a row. Last year, when the Heat was up 3-0 against the Celtics and the Celtics stormed back to make it a game 7, the Celtics still lost the game. Tatum did get hurt. Some other stuff didn't factor in, but they still lost game 7. So, cut that out. Cut that out. And you talking trash to the wrong person. You don't want to talk trash to Kyrie. Talk trash to Josh Green or Tim Hardaway or Dante Exum. Talk trash to one of those players. One of those players that probably ain't gonna have a good game anyway, right? Offensively. Talk trash to one of them. Don't talk trash to Kyrie or Luka or Derek Lively or or Daniel Gafford or Derek Jones or PJ Washington. Don't talk trash about any of the starting lineup. That's just not smart. It's not smart because the only thing you're gonna do is like, oh, this motherfucker talking. Okay, bet. So tonight, like I said, tonight, Mavericks and Wolves, game 5. I'm expecting the Wolves to close this. I mean, not Wolves. I'm expecting the Mavericks to close this out. And then we'll be talking about. We'll be doing a finals preview. Probably not Friday. We'll probably do a Saturday or so. If the Mavericks close it out tonight, we'll talk about it tomorrow. I mean, not tomorrow. We'll talk about Saturday or so, a finals preview of Mavericks versus Celtics. That should be very interesting, in my personal opinion. But then again, like I said, Mavericks have to close it out. Have to close it out. If they don't close it out, they're in deep trouble. And if they're in deep trouble, it's about to be a long playoffs for them. It's going to be a long playoffs for them. So that's the little preview. That's from that. Now I'm moving towards the second part of this podcast or so. It is the crowning players too soon. Crowning players too soon. As y'all heard, as you heard, I was calling Anthony Edwards an all-star rising to a star level player going to superstar status. I have to walk that back a little bit because I did say he was still a star. I did say that. And in my personal opinion, a star player is usually your second best player on a championship team. And usually they're the guys that can give you, between 20 and 25 points per game. They do that. They do the other stuff, the playmaking sometimes the rebounding, the elite defense sometimes. They do the other stuff that the superstar player naturally already does. It's just now the superstar player can take a seat back a little bit. The superstar player sits on the bench and the star player is playing in the game and he can keep the game afloat for a while. He can keep the game going for a while. And it confuses people when they see that because star players, what they do is the way they play the game make you think they're superstars. And that's when people get they're superstar. No. They're star players. They're just playing like superstars. At this moment of time, they're rising their game up to play at that level to make you feel like they're superstars. It's not the case at all. 0 points. It's 0. They're not the case at all. Because in reality, they had the games to where you're like, dang, they ain't playing good. And it's like, they're star players. And I'm looking at the teams in the NBA. I'm just taking a look at the teams in the NBA and crowning players too soon, right? So crowning them is pushing them towards a status that they don't deserve right now. They're working on it, but not right now, right? I gotta look at it like the Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum argument, the statements between those two. The Celtics had a cakewalk through the Eastern Conference. Then again, I don't look down on that. Why? Because that's what they're supposed to do. Last year, the Denver Nuggets pretty much went through the West like it was normal, and people like it's the boring final because it's the Denver Nuggets dominating. That's what top tier teams are supposed to do. They're supposed to come through, dominate their conference, go on to win a championship. That's what they do. And people complain, and people like, oh man, that's finals. Ugh, it's not like no, this is just the reality. This is what a dominant team looks like in the NBA that just people just don't agree with. This year with the Boston Celtics, they did the same thing. You know, they dealt with the Miami Heat in the first round. No Jimmy Butler. The reason why there was no Jimmy Butler is because Jimmy Butler, a star player, sometimes an all-star player, but a star player normally, and he just wasn't there. He wasn't there because he had an injury. And when your star player is injury, the players behind them has to step it up and play basketball better. Bam Adebayo's an all-star player who sometimes play like a star, but mostly he's an all-star player. He's an all-defensive star, all-star type of player. Tyler Hero is a potential all-star player. Potential. He hasn't done it just yet. He has potential to be an all-star. Those two guys going against a team that have elite role player in Drew Holiday, an elite role player in Derek White, an all-star player in Jaylen Brown, who at times plays like a star player in Jason Tatum that at times plays like a superstar, and then you have a all-star big man in Porzingis, who sometimes plays like a star. Not all the times, but sometimes plays like a star. You're expecting a team with two all-stars pretty much with no Jimmy Butler to push past that type of team, and it's just not possible. It's just not possible, my personal opinion. It's just not happening. So the Celtics did what they did, get rid of them. Goodbye. You're 5 games, you're out. The next round, they end up dealing with the Cavaliers. The Cavaliers are with a star player in Donovan Mitchell, a at this moment a role player in Darius Garland, who can be a all-star player, but he hasn't hit that level just yet. The duo of a potential all defensive player, non-star player yet, and Evelyn Mobley, and then pretty much an all-star center and Jared Allen. Well, Jared Allen wasn't playing. He got injured. He's out. And then your star player gets hurt. He's gone. So you're expecting what are you expecting then? You're expecting two non-all-star players who hasn't hit that all-star level yet to go against a juggernaut team. Not happening. Even if they was all there, it still wouldn't happen, in my personal opinion. It still would happen. I think they could have pushed the games more because Porzingis didn't play all the way through, but that's about it. They could have pushed the series, but not enough. And then lastly, they went on to play against the Indiana Pacers, which has all-star Tyrese Halliburton and all-star Pascal Siakam. The rest are role players. Tyrese goes down. Tyrese goes down, and you're expecting Pascal Siakam to somehow push this team past this type of team. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. Injuries play, but you still got to play the players in front of you because the Pacers still made those games really close. But there's no way that any of those teams was going to be coming close to the Cavaliers. I mean, come close to the Celtics. I don't know why I said Cavaliers. The Cavaliers barely got out the first round against just all-star Pablo and a bunch of role players that haven't established themselves just yet as all-star level players or regular role players. That's what happens. They're moving on. So now they're in the finals, and they sit there in the finals as this team that's going to get healthy. Let's say Porzingis does play because he's getting extra time to rest, and they're getting time to rest up. So everybody's getting healthy pretty much, waiting on whoever comes out the West. That team is built to win a championship. They should championship this year. But once again, it comes up to who they're going against. And I think it's the Mavericks. I think we all can agree it's the Mavericks. What does the Mavericks have? Superstar in Luka Doncic, star player in Kyrie Irving, because we've seen what he did as the main guy. He's just not the main guy. He's a star player, second best player. Understandable. They have role players. They have a role player in Derek Jones Jr., role player in PJ Washington, and role player for now and Derek Lively, who it eventually, like later on in the future, could be an all-star. But right now, role player rookie Derek Lively. That's beatable. That's beatable. And if you go bench by bench, Al Horford's coming off the bench for the Celtics, a former all-star, just role player now. He's the main guy you see coming off the bench versus the Mavericks, who has Daniel Galford, a nice role player that pretty much kind of goes toe to toe with Al Horford. Al Horford is just more seasoned vet who's been doing it longer. That's the only difference. But neck to neck, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Another thing is about crowning players too early. Jalen Brunson going from all star to superstar in one playoff series. This is crazy. It's crazy how much stuff that he was able to do. Hold on. Sorry, I had a message that was important. Oh, Jalen Brunson. I'm sorry, I forgot what I left. I was like, what did I leave off? I'm up here helping. Jalen Brunson went from all-star player to a star player to playing like a superstar player all in a single playoff run. This is crazy. But I want to crown him too early. I can't crown him too early because I have to remind the fact that that Knicks team was heavily injured. So I don't want to go too crazy on calling him any of that. I want to call him a star player right now. That's what I want to do. I want to crown him as a star player. Why? Like I said, that team got injured. That team just got hit with a lot of injuries. He was playing a lot of minutes in the playoffs. Let me get the stat. I mean, let me get the minutes played for Mr. Jalen Brunson this year because it was absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. He absolutely. It was very, very fantastic to watch. I'm not gonna lie. Very fantastic. A lot of people was gonna call him a superstar already. Like, oh, you see what he did? That's a superstar. That's a superstar. You gotta also remember the minutes he's playing, what the team was doing at that time period, because there was a lot of injuries on the team that allowed him to do this stuff. Playing 43 minutes, playing a lot of minutes throughout the playoffs. I mean, I ain't gonna lie, you should be able to pull up some crazy stuff. The playoffs this year alone, oh, not too bad. 39.8 minutes in the playoffs. In the playoffs this year, pretty much 40 minutes a game. He averaged 32 and a half points, 3.5 rebounds, 7.5 assists, 1 steal. Percentages: 44 from the field, 31 from the 3-point line, 6.5 attempts, and 77 from the free throw line, 9 attempts a game. So, like I said, he stepped it up. In the regular season, he was averaging like 28. Let me see. Yeah, he was averaging like 28 in the regular season, 28 and a half. I didn't know he was averaging that much in the regular season. I'm going to call him a star player. I think Julius Randle being his running mate is not, for me personally, it's not ideal because he's injured, but because we saw what he's done in the past couple playoffs that Julius Randle has been a part of, he didn't play up to standard. Right now, at this moment in time, Jalen Brunson is a star player that can get to the superstar level player, but he's gonna be a low tier superstar. I think he's still. I think he's gonna be stuck in a star player tier until they have a deeper run, a conference finals appearance, or even NBA finals appearance, and it's led by him, not Julius Randle. And that's the beauty coming into next season is what's gonna happen. Is they're gonna look at it like, well, Julius Randle wasn't here, so let's see what Julius Randle could do. Or they're like, all right, Julius Randle, you gotta go because Jalen Brunson is our guy. We're moving towards Jalen Brunson, and we're gonna get something else in that front court. Mitchell Robinson, you probably gotta go too. You was hurt. You was hurt, and we need you here. We need somebody more stable. Is it weird? Could this possibly happen? Could the Knicks somehow make run at Paul George, who is a star player himself, and maybe they end up trading Mitchell Robinson for DeAndre Ayton and thinking Ayton could be the piece in the center position, and then retain Isaiah Hartenstein and keep OG. So a lineup of Jalen Brunson. Let's go Brunson. Let's go Hart. Let's go OG. Let's go. No. Let's go Paul George, then OG and Aiton. And then you had Dante and Isaiah Hardenstein and other players come off the bench. Is that good enough? I don't think that's good enough, though. I don't know. It's very interesting. Because at the same time, we also in this era of basketball to where a player can be available at any point in time. I'm talking about this now, but fast forward in the off season, the next thing you know it, Brandon Ingram's getting moved because he doesn't want to play in New Orleans no more. And they think, oh, well, we'll just get BI or something. And they're like, BI, he doesn't move the needle. And then BI turns into like a all-star star level player, and Brunson takes that star to superstar leap along with a healthy roster, and they just good to go. That's possible. A player can be available at any point in time in the NBA this year, this season. I mean, at any point that we don't know, right? We don't know what might happen. It's very interesting. It's very, very interesting. So crowning Jalen Brunson is necessary. Tyrese Halliburton was crowned too early. He was crowned too early. I was hearing all the talks. I heard a lot of the talks about Tyrese Halliburton this year, and he had to learn how to be more consistent. He has to learn how to be more consistent. Hopefully, this injury, which is the same injury he ended up having in January this year, by the way, the same injury he had in January this year, on the phone for research purposes. Same injury that he had in January this year, he ended up having again here in the playoffs. He was up and down a lot throughout the playoffs. I've noticed that. There's some games to where he was aggressive, and then was other games where he wasn't aggressive. And you could tell the two differences between that. And Tyrese has to understand that. Also, he's only 23. He's only 23, and this is his first playoff run. 18 and a half points per game, 5 rebounds, 8 assists, 1.5 steals. 48% from the field, 38% from the three-point line on 9.5 attempts a game, and 85% from the free throw line. That's not bad. That's not bad at all. That's good stuff. That's really good stuff. My apologies. Had a phone call. Anyway, that is Tyrese's first. This is Tyrese's first playoff run. 23 years old. So, excuse me. So, you look at all the teams that was in the playoffs this year. The Celtics, they've been there many times. Nothing to complain about the Celtics. Celtics just gotta get it done. Better yet, let me get the standings because I'm bad at going off the top of my head. Y'all know me. I'm really bad at that. I'll mess around and forget a team in the playoffs somehow. Professional forgettingness right there. Hold up. So you had the Celtics, just got to get it done. The Knicks, they are a playoff team that just haven't hit their level of where they need to be at. Hopefully in the offseason, they don't decide just to run the team back and wait to get healthy to find out what it is and make some real changes, because then that can really set them apart from the rest of the teams in the East. The Bucks, not only do they need to be healthy, they still got stuff to figure out, because Dang gets over there, their defense go to crap. The Bucks got a lot of answers they need to correct, because every year these players get older. Dame gets older, Giannis get older, Brook Lopez get older, Chris Middleton gets older. How long are you complaining on running the same team before even Giannis could ask for a trade out? Got to figure that out. The Cavaliers are in this weird situation on whether or not they're going to be able to keep D Mitch, because D Mitch could potentially ask out. Right? He could ask out because they're not doing anything he hasn't done while he was in Utah. Same thing that happens when I was talking about when Harden was on the 76ers a couple years back. I said, it's nice that they're doing what they're doing, but in reality, they got to make a conference finals to an NBA finals run for James Harden to want to stay, because if not, he's doing the exact same thing he was doing in Houston. This is the exact same thing for Donovan Mitchell. If he doesn't sign the extension, say, no, I'm cool, I'm Texas free agent, you trade him? And when you trade him, where are you trading him to? And it depends on what you're trading him to. What are you looking to get back? Those are questions. Those are questions that the Cavaliers have to meet. The Magic, young team, just a young team. The Pacers, once again, Tyrese Halliburton first playoff run. Most of these guys that's on that team haven't even got the first round. Pascal's the only one that's a champion. Everybody else are pretty much first round, maybe second round playoff team. And most of them are just new people getting in the playoffs for the first chance. So basically a young team with one guy that went far. The 76ers, they have answers. There's a lot of answers they need to do in this offseason. Well, how are they going to construct the team moving forward? So they got answers. So they got questions. And then the Heat is just the Heat. I ain't gonna lie. They're just a team that just for some reason just get into the playoffs, but then either their first round exit or they're going to the conference finals, maybe NBA championship. It's one or the other. And that's cool and all, but you could tell that Pat Riley and them were probably getting sick of just doing just enough. That's a whole situation. So basically, the most team out east that's completed, that's ready to compete and could be crowned as the best team in the East is the Boston Celtics. They're the only consistent team with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum at the head from 2020 till now. So now this year they have an opportunity to complete their mission of winning a championship, because and the worst thing for them is getting to the finals and losing again. Because then now the questions rolls up again. Can one of these players be the best player on a championship team and actually win it all? That would be the question moving forward for the rest of the 2020s. It's a choice. It's definitely a choice. While the Western Conference, the Thunder, young team, pretty much only Shea and Luke Dort, Gordon Hayward, Bismack Biyombo, Mike Muscala. Those are the only players that's playoff work that was been in the playoffs before. But young team that's going to continue to grow and continue to compete. The Nuggets, they won it all last year, so there's really no pressure on them anymore. They don't have any pressure. They just won it all. With no pressure like that, the only thing the team has to do is just retool their team and keep it pushing. There's no pressure on the Nuggets, quite honestly. A lot of people think there is. It's like when you win a championship after winning the first championship, you got like a two-year window, and then people start looking at you differently after the 2-year window. Because you got 2023, and then you won it all. So 24 and 25 are pretty much whatever happens type deal. After that, 26 is when the noise really starts hitting hard. Like, maybe they wasn't really a championship level team. Maybe they just got lucky type deal. That's what the arguments come through. I know a lot of people don't believe in that, but pretty much that's what I see it as. Unless your team just falls off the face of the earth, you have an open window. Quite honestly, you have an open window. And the reason why it's a 2-year thing is because I'm thinking about back in the 2000s, post championship Lakers, at the 02, 03, at the 02 when they won, they lost in 03 to the Spurs, but in 04 they was back in the finals, right? And then the whole breakup of the Lakers. The Spurs, 03 they win the championship. 04 they get bounced out in the playoffs. 05 they're back in the championship. 06 they're bounced in the playoffs. 07 they're back in the championship and winning it all. So it's like flipping. So it's like, this is okay. You had that window open. And then after 07, they don't go back to the finals until 2013. So that's when the criticism could really start happening. Even though people was like, championship team. It's just what happens. It's an open window. So you still have an open. So they have this year, the next year, depends on what they do. They could get to the conference finals next year. They could go back to the finals next year with the Nuggets. You never know. We don't know. We don't know. For the Timberwolves, pretty much A healthy Timberwolves have gotten to the conference finals so far. We don't know what the ending is. Right now, the ending look like it's going to be bounced out in five games, and the conference finals is their peak at this moment of time. That's fine considering their superstar is 22 years old. They have time. They still have a little bit more time to correct this going into next year. Now, if next year if they take a step back in their first round exit or a second round exit, depending on who they're losing to, the conversation starts up about other players on the team. The Clippers window to me is closed. There's nothing the Clippers can do. The Mavericks right now could be going to the NBA Finals and could win it all. And then if they do win it all, that pressure's out the window. The pressure is really out the window. The Suns, to me, that window is open for now, but it's closing a little bit. Depends on what they do in this off season. That window could close that type of version of the team. Arguments can be made. Uh, the Lakers. The Lakers just had this window of we can get to the playoffs, but we either a first round exit or we're a championship team. That's it. It's in the middle, right there. They're just right here in this span. So it depends on who they go up against. But at the same time, they have to be careful. The Lakers fans and Lakers organization need to be careful because while they're still hoping LeBron James can lead them to a championship, teams like the Thunder, the Nuggets, the T-Bulls, the Mavericks, those four teams by themselves right there are going to continue to compete and continue to retool their rosters to continue to what they're doing this year. The Lakers were in it against the Nuggets, but the Nuggets was just better than them. For what they were just better. They just played better. They got them out of there. The Thunder is a team I think a lot of the Lakers fans wanted to get this year to beat because coming to the all season and going into next year, you don't know what the Thunder is going to do. You don't know if they're going to get extra big, the next development of the team. Uh, a random star player could be available. A random trade that could happen that make the team over the top championship favorites. They don't know. This year was the year for them to take on that. The T was. I don't think the Lakers could have handled the T Wolves. I don't know. That's a back and forth on that one. That's a toss up in my personal opinion. And then the Mavericks, that's another toss up at the same time. I don't think they have anybody to slow Luka down. And now going into next year, it's a question mark. And then the Pelicans this year, outside of getting healthy, they still got some questions with their teams, but that's the deal. The a lot of things that's happening. The young players are coming. They're faster than ever. Next year, I can see the Clippers dropping. The next year, there's so many teams. There's so many teams that could be coming and going for that championship next year. It's not even funny. I'm not even laughing right now because it's ridiculous how stacked the West is compared to the East. And we don't know what happens in the offseason. We never know what happens in the offseason. A team could be blowing it up, trading around all their pieces and stuff. Star players become available. Players are opting out of their contracts to sign with these teams to make those teams give them a chance to win the championship. Let's have a discussion. What's stopping Paul George to say, you know what? I have fun in Oklahoma City. I'm going back to Oklahoma City. And Westbrook said, I'll come with you too. And we'll just Westbrook said, I'll just come off the bench. And Paul George's like, cool, I'm coming back to play. I want to play. What's stopping Paul George? Now, granted, the fit's gonna be weird, but what's stopping that from happening? What's stopping the Thunder? Like, yeah, we get that. We pick up another big, let's say Andre Drummond, Jonas Valanciunas, somebody to play next to Chet at times, outside of Jalen Williams. What's stopping that from happening? You know what I'm saying? What's stopping? What's stopping the Warriors from losing out on Klay Thompson and Klay Thompson goes join the Sacramento Kings just to be a 3-point sniper for them, or he's good to go and where he revalidate his career. Now he's a 16 to 18 point per game scorer, and they're in the playoffs again. You know, stuff like that could happen at any point in time. What's stopping teams from the East losing players or players are tired and they go over to the West and stack the more deck onto Western Conference teams, to making that team even more stacked. That's why it's hard to just crown players. So these young players so early. We're gonna do it anyway because we have to. And in my next podcast, I'll be discussing the top 5 players per position. And playoffs are gonna have a huge factor into that. The playoffs will make that going into next season too. That's going to play a factor. But that's the end of this podcast. I somehow pushed it to 40 minutes. That's kind of ridiculous. Hit the like, comment, and subscribe. The podcast is supposed to be once a week. I'll try to get back into the once a week thing. I promise you, I'll try to. I'm going to try to. And I'll catch you guys on the next podcast. Let's enjoy Mavericks versus Timberwolves, game 5. Let me know who you got winning. And I'll catch you guys on the next video.